Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the volume and total surface area of a prism. And a prism is a solid with two parallel polygons for its end faces and a uniform cross section. That means if I were to cut that apart, each of the sizes of that polygon, that cross section would look the same. Each end face is called a base of the prism, and a prism is named by the shape of its base as shown. So you'll notice over here we have in really tiny letters a pentagonal prism because the base of the prism is a pentagon. Over here we have a hexagonal prism and a rectangular prism. But Mr. Chavez, doesn't that rectangular prism kind of look like a cuboid? Yes. And that's going to be important as we see. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at a prism itself. This is a triangular prism. As you can see, its base makes a triangle. So the perpendicular distance between the two bases of a prism is its height. So from the first triangular base to the second triangular base, that distance is the height. And then the other faces of the prisms are called lateral faces. Lateral faces. So we have one face, two face. You know what? Why don't we instead take a look at this lovely net brought to you by benscoloringpages.com. So anyway, back to the triangular prism. So we have the base here, another base here, and we have the lateral face, lateral face, lateral face. So how does this help us to find the volume of a prism? Well, let's take a look. The volume of the prism is found by the base area times the height. That makes sense, right? Let's go back over here to our prism, and you have the base area of the triangle. And if you were to take that triangle and stack it up on top of itself as many times as you needed to get the appropriate height, you would get the entire prism itself. So let's go back to this example of a triangular prism, which is the base area times the height. So the figure shows a triangular prism in which BC equals 10 centimeters, AN equals 7 centimeters, and CF equals 13 centimeters. Find the volume of the prism. Well, the first thing I'm going to need to do is find the base area, which is this triangle here. So what I need to do is find the area of triangle ABC. And I can find that, if you remember, the area for a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So I have 1/2 times BC times the height AN. And that's going to get me 1/2 times 10 times 7, which is 35 square centimeters. But that doesn't get me my answer, because if you remember, the volume of the prism is equal to the base area times the height. Well, now that I have the base area, I can use that information, so 35, and I'm given that my height is CF 13, but it doesn't look like a height because it's kind of laying flat on its edge. That's because it's sleeping. Turn it up and you would be able to see how it mirrors the other triangular prism that we saw before. So it's 35 times 13, which then is going to leave me with 455 centimeters. Oh, what's my units going to be? Because we're talking about volume. Centimeters cubed. All right, so that's how you can find the volume of the prism, and that would work for any type of prism, not just for triangles, as long as you remember that the volume is the base area times the height. So you will have to find that base area of whatever type of prism that it is, and then multiply that by the height. Now what we're going to do is talk about the surface area of a prism. The surface area of a prism can be found by taking the sum of the areas of its lateral faces plus 2 times the base area. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look at this confusing picture. First of all, this is a pentagonal prism. Someone tell me why. Okay, I'll assume that you are either silent or you gave me an answer. But anyway, what we're going to do is take a look at the net. And you'll notice right now I'm going to look at the sum of the area of its lateral faces. So that means I'm going to have, if I take this edge from the pentagon, that's my A, and I multiply it by the height, I get AH, which means I'll get BH, CH, DH, and EH. What do they all have in common? They are all being multiplied by H. So what I'm going to do is use what I know to combine those values. So instead of AH plus BH plus CH plus DH plus EH, I'm going to combine all that into A plus B plus C plus D plus E times H, which is going to get me a shape that looks something like this. Huh. Go figure. So what that'll get me essentially is the perimeter of the base. So I have the perimeter of the base in green, and I've taken that and I've multiplied it by the height. Now what I need to do is include my base area. So I need the base of this area of this pentagon and of this pentagon, and that's times 2, and then I'm going to add those together. And that would get me the surface area of any prism. So instead of a prism, let's just say any prism, although the exclamation mark shouldn't be there if we're thinking about proper grammar. So let's take a look at an example. Again, the total surface area of the prism is the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the base area. We're going to take a look at this example over here to my left of a triangle, a triangular prism. As it says, the figure shows a triangular prism in which AB equals 5 centimeters, BC equals 4 centimeters, CA equals 3 centimeters, ACB equals 90 degrees. That's important because it also means that DFE equals 90 degrees, but it's not important for that reason. And BE equals 2.5 centimeters. Find the volume of the prism and the total surface area of the prism. So first thing we're going to do is find the volume of the prism. I know the volume of the prism is equal to the base area times the height. Blah. We'll just pretend you didn't see that. Times the height. There we go. Okay. So the base area is going to be the area of triangle ABC. And the area of triangle ABC is 1/2 times AC times BC. And the reason I can multiply these two values together is because of the 90-degree angle. I can turn that prism on its side, and I can use one of the values as its height. So that means I have 1/2 times 3 times 4, which means my base area is 6 square centimeters. And I also know that the height, spelled correctly, is, where is that? Oh yes, the height is BE 2.5 centimeters. There we go, and then 6 times 2.5 is going to get us our 15 cubic centimeters. So that's how we find our volume. But now what we need to do is find the total surface area of the prism. And we are going to do that in red. Okay, so first thing we need to do is find out the perimeter of the base. So the perimeter of the base is the perimeter of triangle ABC. And the perimeter of triangle ABC is 3 plus 4 plus 5. Don't break out your calculator. I'm going to do the heavy lifting for you. So that equals 12 centimeters. Now, if we remember that the total surface area of the prism is the perimeter of the base, which we found, times the height, which is given to us, plus 2 times the base area. So we have the perimeter of the base, which is 12, times the height, which is 2.5, plus 2 times the base area, which we found over here. Here's the base area of 6. So 12 times 2.5 plus 2 times 6 is going to equal 42 square centimeters. And there you have it. Volume of a prism and total surface area of the prism. Again, these are equations, calculations that will work for any type of prism.